Well, welcome everyone. So I've been asked to talk about doubt, self-doubt in particular. And it's always interesting that whenever I choose a topic, then I usually get to have really good experience with it.
Oh, yeah.
Right then, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't pick things like that. I've experienced a lot of self-doubt this past week. Maybe I would have experienced it anyhow, but I'm cued into it because I know I'm going to talk about it. But all of our emotions and capabilities that we have, they're considered to be adaptive states. So doubt is a mind state that's adaptive for our survival. It's helped us survive up to this point. If we didn't have doubt of a stick that we see on a trail that's actually a snake, then we may have not jumped out of the way in time. Right? There are a lot of reasons why doubt is good. And if we had more doubt in some of our religious authority figures in our country, in our world, the past 50 years or so, then maybe a lot of people, young people would not have been, innocent children wouldn't have been victims of sexual abuse. So healthy doubt is a good thing. Healthy, wholesome doubt. And it's healthy and wholesome doubt, there's a distinction, right? It's grounded in reality and it's helpful. For instance, I found this one quote that said, "Never test the depth of the water with both feet."
Oh.
Right? So the Buddha actually taught that we should not always believe everything we hear wholesale, and that we should practice wholesome, cultivate wholesome doubt. In the Kalama Sutta, he comes to give them a talk, and he says, they say, "Why should we believe you? We have so many spiritual teachers coming through here, and each one gives us their own recipe of what the truth is. How do we know who to believe?" So he told them, you shouldn't believe everyone wholesale. Listen to what they say. If what they're saying makes some logical sense to you, and if you were to try out their teachings and put them into operation, would they be helpful for people or would they cause harm to yourself or others? So if they cause harm to yourself or others, you don't want to follow those teachings. But if they are helpful, then you listen and you follow their teachings. So this is wise skepticism. And it's grounded in wisdom. Right? It's grounded in wisdom, it's grounded in logic, it's grounded in good experience. So we do want to apply wisdom to doubt when we start to have doubt. It can be very beneficial. I have a family member, maybe I use this example a lot, but who believes all the fake news that he hears on the internet. And there's some crazy stuff that he believes. So he believes everything he hears on the internet as if it's all true. He's not using wise doubt. Anyhow, doubt evolved as this positive trait to keep us safe and to keep us on course, But sometimes doubt is your conscience telling you that something is wrong going on here. You ever feel like that little inkling of, icky, something doesn't feel right? That's the doubt in the body. But doubt can become a real problem in our lives if it's not skillful doubt, if it's not wholesome doubt, which can lead to a lot of confusion. This unhealthy doubt. Particularly if you're doubting yourself a lot. If you doubt yourself a lot, it can undermine your health, your happiness, your sense of peace, even your success in life. Right? This self-doubt, it can eat you alive. So I called self-doubt the mind killer. It's like a poison that seeps through the mind, and it undermines everything. Right? So that's what I'm going to basically be focusing on and how to work with. Last week I was teaching a class, and man came out and he was talking about his coming into contact with his white male privilege and how difficult that has been for him. And I gave him a story. I told the group, it's an online teaching group, classes that I lead, about another co-teacher that I led a retreat with, who gave the story that was just eking with white male privilege and unconscious white male privilege. That really kind of, I felt annoyance arise with his story. And then a woman came to me the next day and said she wanted to slap the other teacher with his white male privilege. But anyhow, so I told this story of this unconscious privilege, and the whole class was completely silent. Not a peep. You could hear a pin drop over the internet, right? So then I immediately start to feel doubt. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have told that story. Maybe I, ruffled some feathers. And so I started feeling all this, pain. And then I realized, oh, this is doubt. This is self-doubt. I held it with kindness. I'm open to feedback. If I was too harsh in some way, I'm sure somebody will be glad to tell me. But I felt that it was appropriate at the time, and it was just another great example of what teachers should look at when they're giving talks about their privilege, especially being a white male. That this man in particular wants to be aware of his privilege when he's speaking to other groups. So I deal with self-doubt a lot. Right before every talk, I'm like, oh, I hope I don't say something that hurts someone's feelings or sounds stupid. So I feel this fear arising, and I'm like, oh, there's doubt. There's doubt. Yeah. So if you're plagued with self-doubt, you may second-guess yourself a lot. Your perceptions, your decisions, your analyses, your interactions, your capabilities. Anyone ever done that? It may seem as though you have an inner narrator or critic who's constantly questioning you and judging you and critiquing your every move. Does anyone have one of those? I'm the only one. Right? If you suffer a lot with self-doubt, you may have a hard time making decisions, playing the what-if game. What if this happens? What if that happens? Or the if-then game, over and over again in your head. Well, if I do this, then that might happen. If I do that, then this might happen. And what we can do is get stuck in these analysis to paralysis, right? Yeah. I had so what can happen if we might not be able to make a decision if we get this analysis paralysis. So we have a hard time making decisions. I had an ex who had a really hard time making decisions. And I never wanted to go shopping with him, because this is what he would do. He would say, I want to buy one shirt, 2 maximum. And he'd pick out like 12 shirts, and he liked them all equally. And then he would try them all on over and over and over again and say, well, which one do you like? Well, which one do you like? Well, I think I should get this one, but I like that one better. And I'd be like 2 hours later going, just get a damn shirt. I would pick one up and go, here, buy this one, let's go. So if you play the devil's advocate a lot, with other people, you may be suffering with a lot of doubt. If you have a hard time trusting authority figures of all kinds, period, carte blanche, this may be doubt, right? If you're afraid of taking risks and you don't take any risks unless they're very calculated and pre-planned and you feel confident that you're going to succeed, you want to say it for me?
Yes.
Doubt. Right? I could go on and on and on. Here's a joke, kind of jokes here. A group of women were at a seminar, and the seminar was how to live in a loving relationship with their husbands. So their husbands weren't there, they were there by themselves. So the women were asked, how many of you really love your husbands? And they all raised their hands. So the facilitator asked them, when was the last time you told your husband you loved them? So some women answered, yeah, yesterday, earlier today. Some couldn't remember. So the facilitator told them to pick up their cell phones and send their husband a text that says, I love you, sweetheart, or something like that, right? So then after a while, they were told to get their cell phones, turn them on, and give them to a different woman. And they were supposed to read their responses from their husbands out loud. So this is what actually happened. One man, who the hell is this? Another one, are you sick or what? Yeah, I love you too. What's wrong? What now? Did you crash the car again? I don't understand what you mean. Don't beat around the bush, just tell me how much you need. And I thought we agreed you wouldn't drink during the day. And the last one, your mother's coming to stay with us, isn't she? Maybe some doubt there, huh? So Stephen Sacchini, he says, he's a Buddhist teacher, expose yourself to doubt. When you find the truth, contemplative life comes to an end and death sets in. By opening the door to not knowing, you forge a living path. So he's using doubt synonymously with not knowing, right? To staying in that not knowing mind, the beginner's mind, the constantly saying everything is fresh and new, right? That's totally different from doubting mind. That's beginner's mind. Keep remembering, let me look at this person as if I'm seeing them for the first time, or this flower as if I'm smelling it for the first time. So we want to practice beginner's mind, not knowing mind. Actually, beginner's mind, not knowing mind can help us deal with doubt. Because doubting mind wants to know, doesn't it? Right? Doubting mind says, well, I need to know, I have to know, I want to know. And beginner's mind says, oh, I don't know, do I? And that's okay. So beginner's mind is a great thing to practice. So I would always talk often about the ultimate realm, and then the relative realm. And the ultimate realm is our Buddha nature, who we really are, that space of deep love and connection and peace and spaciousness and emptiness. That's, we can tap into this in our practice on a regular basis. This becomes the ground on which we live, this beautiful ultimate realm that we connect with, right? But it's not all of who we are. We're also that of the relative realm. In the relative realm, we have to deal with form and the body and time and time change and right, all the earthly things that we have to face, and thoughts and body aches. And when we live in the relative realm, the conceptual mind is in charge. The thinking mind is in charge, right? When we live in the relative realm, which is disconnected from the ultimate realm, when we don't have a connection with the ultimate realm, the conceptual mind gets really scared. And it feels like it has to figure everything out, right? And it feels inept. So it's constantly planning and worrying and rehearsing and trying to, what is the expression of trying to arrange all the chairs on the deck of the Titanic? Right? That's what the conceptual mind tries to do if we're not connected to the ultimate realm. Right? That's us when we're stuck in this relative mind, the conceptual mind, trying to figure it all out. The conceptual mind can't figure it all out. It can't. The conceptual mind creates our sense of identity, who we think we are. That's all manufactured by the conceptual mind. Then it says, this is a fictitious, we create this fictitious narration of who we think we are. We have all these labels and thoughts and memories and expectations from society, expectations from our children, and if we have a partner, right? If we're born in a certain religion or race or ethnic background, then we're told who we are. From the very first day we're born, we're put into this box and we create this sense of who we think we are. That's not who we are. That's not all of who we are. Right? So we create that schism or that disconnection from who we really are. So our way home is constantly to come back to our true nature, who we really are. Self-doubt, to me, is an indication that I have left my ultimate self, that I'm disconnected from the totality of who I really am. Right? And that my poor little conceptual mind is trying to figure it all out. Trying to keep me safe. Right? Oh, okay. And we actually have to turn that around, I forgot. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll ask someone to be my turner arounder. But we're not just the conceptual mind. Buddhism skeptical doubt is called vicikiccha. Vicikiccha. Can you all say that?
Sure.
Vicikiccha. It almost sounds sexy, doesn't it? But anyhow, vicikiccha is a mental hindrance, and it's the fifth one out of the 5 hindrances, along with craving, aversion, sloth and torpor, and restlessness and anxiety. But in Buddhism, it's considered to mar the purity of the mind. In meditation, it's considered a hindrance because it can stop you from tapping into your ultimate reality, to your deeper wisdom, and you can get stuck in doubt, skeptical doubt. Anybody loop? Anybody do that? Yeah, dizzying, looping. That's how we can get stuck. Right? And doubt is considered the hardest of all the mental hindrances because it's the hardest one to see, and it's the hardest one to work with for a lot of people because it seems so real. A craving is coming, it's like, oh, I gotta have. But it's like, oh, this is a craving. Wow, look at this, it's really strong. It's easy to see a craving. Anxiety, whoa, am I feeling really anxious? It's easy to see that. Sloth and torpor, tiredness and exhaustion, laziness, it's easy to see that. But doubt, we don't usually see it, we believe it. We get lost in it. In the Samyutta Nikaya, number 4655, there's a simile about doubt. And the simile is that there's a pot of water, but it's muddy water, that you're trying to see your reflection in. So you're trying to see a reflection in this pot of muddy water, but it's stirred up really, so it's agitated muddy water in a dark room. Can you see your reflection? No. That's a wonderful example of what doubt feels like and what it does to us. A lot of people in our society in particular, I think, are plagued with a lot of self-doubt. And we could go on and on about why our society promotes, competition and perfectionism and comparison. But we do, it can be very debilitating. And I'm teaching in a mindfulness meditation teacher training program, and I've taught a lot of people how to teach, and it's a very painful thing to be stuck in doubt. So how do we recognize self-doubt? I'll give you some more possible signs that self-doubt is present. Maybe you're dreading social interactions and afraid that you'll have to talk to someone when you go somewhere in the public. It might be doubt. Now I already talked about the inner critic critiquing your every action, what you're going to say, maybe going over what you just said to see if it was skillful, or maybe the inner critic beats you up. Anyone have an inner critic that beats them up? If you're concerned regularly with what people think about you, how they perceive you, there might be self-doubt. Your speech pattern is halting or erratic. Maybe you backtrack often in your speaking and feel that you need to tell the whole narrative, whole story, and fill in every single detail, because if you don't, they may not understand you, because you're doubting that people will understand you, or you're doubting that you're clear, or afraid that you won't be clear. You know, that could be doubt. There could be doubt there. When you make a decision, finally, then you start looking up to see if you can find what you just bought cheaper somewhere else. You know, doubting your decision that you just made. Yeah. If you're confused often, if you change your mind often, that could be doubt. Yeah. Listen to this one. If at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you.
Wow.
Am I causing doubt? Maybe that wasn't a good one. Yeah. So on the meditation cushion, doubt shows up as I can't meditate. I'm not good at this. I shouldn't even try. Other people can meditate, but I can't. Sitting in a room full of people going, look at all of them. They're all so peaceful. They're in nirvana, and I'm sitting here going crazy. So comparing mind. We doubt our meditation practice, we doubt our teacher, we doubt our lineage, we doubt that the Buddha ever existed, we doubt these teachings, maybe this is a bunch of BS. But doubt is simply a passing mind state that comes and leaves. But it can become a habit of mind, right? And it can become a really hard habit to break. But it can be broken, and doubting mind can be reduced, it can be eliminated, but it helps to recognize it. I like to, maybe you have your top 10 doubt tunes that you might want to name, or top 1 or 2 doubting tunes that you might want to name. Can somebody turn that around? I'm sorry to...
Is it flip?
Flip or turn?
Turn it. Just pull it out that way and turn it around. Thank you. If you're plagued with a lot of doubt, you probably also have anxiety. Restlessness comes with doubt. A lot of anxiety and restlessness. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really plagued with doubt, badly, go ahead and you might want to seek a professional, a healthcare professional to help you deal with that. But here I have some how to work with self-doubt when it's really present. The first thing you want to do before you even start to work with doubt is to realize that you're not alone, that a lot of people struggle with self-doubt. Anyone here, show of hands, have struggled with self-doubt? Okay, so look around, you're not alone. I think that's very helpful, even before we start to work with self-doubt, to know that it's part of the human condition, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to practice formal and informal mindfulness meditation practice every day. Because when we're practicing every day, we're training the mind to be calmer, we're training the mind to be present, we're training the mind to see things clearly, right? The second thing we want to do is bring a mindful awareness to our thoughts while we're meditating and later on during the day. Constantly be aware of this thought streams, because we want to be able to recognize, number 3, thinking or thoughts that are doubting thoughts. Right? We want to recognize the inner critic when it's happening. The problem with doubt so hard is we usually don't recognize the inner critic. Sometimes these doubting thoughts are very logical and reasonable and helpful, right? We could recognize that as well. So the third thing is we need to recognize doubt as doubt, not other things, because the mind will try to turn it into something else. Well, you always do this, or it's smart to worry about these kind of things. And if I don't worry about them, who will? So the mind it'll bypass doubt. So you really want to see doubt is doubt. You want to safely label a doubting mind. You know what I'm saying by softly. Just label it doubt or doubting mind. Some people like to name their doubting mind, like Debbie or Donald or something. Oh, right? That's because that helps with the next one, the next couple ones. Welcome your inner critic in, welcome it. Oh, hello, Debbie. Hi, welcome. How are you today? Right? We don't want to have a resistant relationship with doubt. Doubt is trying to protect us. It's trying to help us. We're not going to punch it in the face and say, get out of here. Right? It's a survival strategy we created to help us a long time ago. So we don't want to be at war with our inner doubting mind. Right? So welcome it in. Hello, Debbie. Come in. Then we want to sink down beneath the thoughts. Sink down beneath the storylines, into the body and into the heart, and feel this doubt in the body. The sensations, how it's manifesting. Sometimes it'll be all in the throat, sometimes it'll be in the head, somewhere else. Sometimes there'll be a lot of emotions with doubt. What kind of emotions might be present along with doubt? Anxiety, fear.
Woe is me.
Hmm?
Woe is me.
Or woe is me. Right? A lot of different emotions might be there. Worrying is a type of thinking, but there might be a lot of different mental and emotional components there. So after we sink beneath and we're listening and feeling the emotions and the bodily sensations, we're trying to stay out of the storyline. Why are we trying to stay out of the storyline? Because the narrator will want to jump in and start saying, well, he always does this to me. Every time this time of year, he always expects the worst, he always anticipates the worst, he always makes up the blah, 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 or she does this, or he does that. So we want to say, oh, thank you, Debbie, for sharing. I'm going to stay with the body and the heart. Right? So we keep sinking back down into the body and in the heart until doubt weakens or morphs into something else. It often will morph into something like really strong grief or fear or something else. And then we stay with that until that dissipates. But we want to use our mindful awareness to be able to do all of this. It's really powerful. Anybody here have been working with this process, this practice for a while, doubt? Yeah. Yeah, so you want to treat yourself with loving kindness and compassion. You want to treat the doubting mind with loving kindness and compassion. To the best of your ability, be patient with it until it dissipates. And do your best not to believe the inner critic. Sometimes the inner critic is telling you something wise, but often it's just not. Especially if you suffer with a lot of self-doubt. The opposite of doubt is faith. Faith. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's healthy doubt and we're actually in danger or something's not happening correctly, so we need to make a shift in our life, but oftentimes it's just plain skeptical doubt. And it's a sign that we're not connected to our hearts. Because when we're connected to our hearts, the mind-heart-body connection, then we have full access to our ultimate self, right? But when we close the heart off, we shut down the body, we don't have access to our full self, So we're stuck in that conceptual realm. We're not in with the ultimate, the full nature of who we are. And when we wake up to the totality of who we really are, there's faith. There's faith in the process. There's faith in ourself. There's faith in wisdom, because wisdom is present. Here's Emily Dickinson. She said, faith is the pierceless bridge supporting what we see unto the seen that we do not. So we want to have faith in that wise part of us, right? Have faith in the process. This is another, this is by Fauzia Z. Fauzia Z. Faith sees the way, doubt sees the darkest night. Faith sees the day, doubt dreads to take a step. Faith soars on high, doubt questions, who believes? Faith answers, I. So may you open your heart to your mind, your heart and your body. May you meditate and experience that ultimate self. May you work skillfully with doubting mind, befriend it, and may you gain in greater wisdom and peace from working with this energy. And there's so much more to say, but this is it for now.